At least 3 people are hospitalized after a number 3 alarm fire broke out at a central building. The observatory may skip typhoon signal number 1 and directly issue a number 3 warning on Monday. And we'll take a look at a new attraction in Xi'an as Hong Kong and Xi'an strengthen ties to boost two-way tourism. Good evening, you're watching Cable News. I'm Quentin Yang. A number 3 alarm fire broke out at Chinacam Tower, a high-rise building in Hong Kong's financial district of Central, with at least 3 people hospitalized. The blaze prompted dozens of people to evacuate and disrupted road traffic in the area. Jimmy Liu reports.
Online videos showed that roaring flames engulfed the scaffolding on the building exterior. Thick smoke billowed into the sky, with some people reported hearing explosions. Firefighters sprayed water at the blaze, which later subsided to some extent. However, smoke continued to pour from the scene. Many charred bamboo poles scattered on the ground. Paramedics were seen transporting a citizen who felt unwell onto an ambulance. The incident occurred around 4:30 p.m. when police received multiple calls about a scaffolding catching fire on 34 to 37 Connaught Road in Central. It was later escalated to a number 3 alarm fire, prompting around 50 people to evacuate to safety on their own. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
Yet another typhoon is set to challenge the city. Tropical storm Fengshen, the latest in a series of systems to impact Hong Kong this year, could prompt the raising of the number 3 strong wind signal by Monday. But on the bright side, the storm also promises relief from the current heat wave with cooler air midweek next week. The observatory said that Fengshen, which means the god of wind in Chinese, would come within 800 kilometers of Hong Kong tomorrow and would be closest to the city on Tuesday. Fengshen, combined with monsoon effects, will lead to persistently windy, cloudy conditions with periods of rain early next week. This will cause a sharp temperature drop, with urban areas cooling to around 20 degrees Celsius by midweek. The weather forecaster also said the need to issue higher warning signals would be assessed based on the intensity of Fengshen, the proximity of gale force winds to Hong Kong, and changes in local wind conditions. A delegation led by the Tourism Industry Council continued their trip in Xi'an, where Hong Kong and Shanxi tourism leaders inked a cooperation deal, hoping to improve transport links to boost two-way tourism. Sher Yun reports in Shanxi, Xi'an.
Over 140 representatives from Hong Kong and Shanxi tourism bodies gathered in Xi'an to exchange insights on local attractions and professional expertise. The two sides signed a memorandum of understanding to enhance collaboration. Deputy Director of the Shanxi Provincial Department of Culture and Tourism Wang Chun expressed confidence that more Xi'an residents will utilize the individual visit scheme's convenience to experience Hong Kong's vibrant allure and diverse culture, fostering greater mutual understanding and friendship. Travel Industry Council Chairman Tommy Tam shared ambitious plans ahead on our side, with a short-term goal to double the tourist figures between both cities in a year.
Both of us admitted that the demand for the traffic between Hong Kong and Xi'an is quite high, and we decided to have the MOU, and then rest of the year we will have the meeting regularly, both in Hong Kong or in Xi'an. That we will enhance our strategy and effort to promote both sides of the tourism, meaning to say more traffic from Hong Kong and then some of the traffic from Xi'an to via Hong Kong to somewhere.
Commissioner for Tourism Angelina Cheung pledged to promote multi-destination tourism, so overseas tourists who visit Xi'an can also visit Hong Kong and other Greater Bay Area cities as their next stop. Industry representative also chimed in, with tourism sector lawmaker Perry Yu calling for direct sleeper trains to Xi'an to enhance connectivity options, offering tourists a leisurely yet efficient travel experience apart from flying. The Hong Kong delegation then visited the new Chang'an Cloud Belt and Road City Exhibition and Experience Center. Since its opening in January, the new landmark has already welcomed nearly 2.49 million visitors, with the car manufacturing and aerospace halls proven most popular, especially among children. Over 1,000 study groups from around the world, including those from Hong Kong, have toured the site as they look to expand long-term regular study programs. The Xi'an tour marks the Travel Industry Council's third and last study tour of the year, after also visiting Heilongjiang in February and Shanxi in June. Reporting in Shanxi, Xi'an, Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
The government expected that Guangdong vehicles could begin driving south into the city as early as the end of the year. But Transport Secretary Mabel Chen said several criteria will still need to be studied, such as quotas and traffic violation penalties. Evelyn Bai tells us more.
The Transport and Logistics Bureau plans to allow mainland residents to apply to drive into Hong Kong next month under the Southbound Travel for Guangdong vehicle scheme. By the end of the year, motorists from Guangdong province will be able to enter the urban area via the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, with a daily booking quota of 100 and a maximum stay of 3 days. Taking to the airwaves, Chen noted that if a driver commits serious violations and has unpaid fines, he or she may be barred from future southbound travel applications. The system data can trace the driver's past records, with close communication with the Guangdong authorities, Chen added. When asked whether to increase the 100 daily booking quota, the transport chief emphasized the need to implement the scheme step by step, as multiple factors need to be considered, including user experience, reception capacity, parking spaces, and societal reaction. Meanwhile, addressing 5 recently launched franchised taxi fleets, the Bureau expects them to provide a total of over 1,200 taxis by the end of the month, and is set to launch a simplified taxi written test on November 3rd. Amid the passage of a ride-hailing services bill, Chen said the subsidiary legislation detailing regulatory requirements will be submitted to the Legislative Council in the first half of next year, with a view to completing legislative procedures in mid-2026. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
A hiker is suspected to have plunged to his death near the summit of the city's iconic Lion Rock this morning, according to police. The man, believed to be in his 40s to 50s, was found lying about 200 meters from the summit of the 495-meter-high mountain. Upon receiving citizens' reports around 10 a.m., a helicopter from the government flying service arrived at the scene, found the unconscious man, and pronounced him dead. The man's body was later airlifted by the helicopter to its Chetlep headquarters. Preliminary police investigation suggests that the deceased hiker may have fallen from the escarpment. A new round of trade talks between China and the United States could begin next week in Malaysia, as top negotiators of both sides have agreed to meet in person as soon as possible. In another sign of cooling tensions, U.S. President Donald Trump said he's still confident that the meeting with President Xi Jinping will go ahead. Jim Liu reports.
As Xi and Trump prepare to meet, Vice Premier He Lifeng spoke with U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Trade Representative Jamieson Greer over a video call. State media Xinhua reported that the two sides held candid, in-depth and constructive exchanges and agreed to hold a new round of economic negotiations as soon as possible. Bessent described the call as frank and detailed discussions about trade, adding he will meet the Chinese vice premier in person next week. Speaking before the call, the Treasury chief said things have de-escalated between the two sides and expressed hope that Beijing would reciprocate Washington's respect. In an apparent softening in tone, Trump expressed optimism that his meeting with Xi would go ahead.
We'll be meeting in South Korea.
You think
myself.
will go forward?
I think so. It looks like it's going forward. I think so. They want to meet. We like to meet. I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and we're going to see what happens.
The U.S. president believed Washington is in a very strong position because of tariffs. However, he later admitted in an interview with Fox News that the additional 100% tariff he threatened on Chinese goods is not sustainable. The extra tariff was a U.S. response to China's plans to tighten export controls on critical rare earth elements earlier this month. Trump had raised the prospect of canceling his meeting with Xi this month in South Korea on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
Chinese theoretical physicist Chen Yang died in Beijing today at the age of 103. He was the mainland's first Nobel Prize laureate, praised for reshaping modern science, often ranked alongside Albert Einstein as one of the 20th century's greatest physicists. Yang passed away from an illness, according to state media Xinhua. Born in Hefei, Anhui Province in 1922, Yang spent most of his youth in Beijing, where his father was a professor of mathematics at Tsinghua University. His extraordinary journey in physics began at the National Southwestern Associated University in 1942, where he received his bachelor's degree during the tumult of the Sino-Japanese War. A U.S. government scholarship then took him to Chicago, where his career flourished. In a landmark achievement, he and colleague Chinese-American Congdao Li proposed that parity is not conserved in weak subatomic interactions, a discovery that overturned a fundamental law of physics. This breakthrough earned the pair the 1957 Nobel Prize. Yet his most profound scientific legacy is arguably the Young-Mills gauge theory, developed with Robert Mills in 1954. This work provided the mathematical foundation for describing all known fundamental forces in the universe, a framework colleagues rank alongside Einstein's theory of relativity. After a celebrated career abroad, Yang returned to China in 2003, renouncing his U.S. citizenship. In his later years, Yang dedicated himself to nurturing China's next generation of scientists, serving as a professor and honorary dean of the Tsinghua University Institute for Advanced Study. A week into the fragile ceasefire, Israel confirmed receiving another coffin containing the remains of a hostage held in Gaza, the 10th body handed over by Hamas this week, while humanitarian deliveries into Gaza remain limited under blocked border crossings. Evelyn Bai reports.
In the southern Gazan city of Han Yunis, Hamas crews continue to search for the bodies of Israeli hostages under the debris using diggers. Members of the Red Cross were present to inspect the site. Israel earlier confirmed the handover of the 10th body out of 28. Forensic officials identified it as a 75-year-old Israeli who was killed on October 7th. Despite Israel's persistent pressure on the group to return the remaining deceased hostages, Hamas stated that there are enormous difficulties in discovering the remaining dead, as many are buried beneath rubble from Israel's 2-year bombing of Gaza. Hamas also said they lack heavy machinery such as cranes, along with the presence of unexploded ordnance in the area. Meanwhile, Israel keeps the Rafah border crossing in southern Gaza closed, a vital entry point for humanitarian aid and sick individuals seeking medical treatment abroad. The continued closures of crossings and restrictions have severely constrained the number of trucks permitted into Gaza, hampering the delivery of humanitarian aid. The United Nations has urged Israel to open all border crossings for unhindered access to aid into Gaza. The ceasefire remained fragile as a senior Hamas official told Reuters that they cannot commit to disarm and plans to keep a grip on Gaza security, while Israel and the United States continue to press on Hamas to disarm and return all hostages. The conflict has resulted in more than 67,000 Palestinian deaths over the 2 years. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
On to the weather now. Becoming cloudy, 1 or 2 showers overnight. Dry and very hot with sunny periods during the day. That's our news tonight. I'm Quentin Yang. Thank you for watching. Good night.